It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
In the van, we're going for our Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. Alan, how we doing?
Frustrated, Smitty. Frustrated.
Okay. I think Steelers fans may share the sentiment there, and we'll obviously talk about that. I figured the first thing we could do is go over everything that Steelers did today during the trade deadline. All right, now that we did that.
Whoa. They released Mark Robinson and Daquan Hardy to the practice squad.
Yeah. Can I say something, actually, by the way?
And Hill's guy.
Can I say something regarding Daquan Hardy, though?
What's that? Yeah, sure.
I got to say something regarding Daquan Hardy, and this might upset some people.
Okay.
I think 1-for-1, I actually take the trade-off of Beanie Bishop for Daquan Hardy.
Well, I was just going to say, both of those guys were guys we were talking about in that draft class as players that could be options for the Steelers. They end up getting Beanie, and now they're I don't think that's a good take there. I agree.
I think Daquan Hardy's a little bit better in coverage. I think he's a little bit more versatile than what Beanie was able to do. I understand Beanie had great ball production last year. You can go back and watch that. And obviously, I'm not trying to take away from what he did, but some of that's just being in the right place at the right time. I think Daquan Hardy, if he had to play in a pinch, just offers you a little bit more. He's a better
athlete.
He's not as limited as Beanie. Beanie, very limited. Not only just in stature, but like just the what he can do, literally. Like, he's a slot only corner that doesn't contribute on special teams. That's not a great athlete. I 1-for-1 take the trade off of Daquan.
Return kicks and punts, and is a really good athlete. I think also has a better vertical, which both these guys are really short. I don't know that Hardy's even an inch taller, so you're not really getting an upgrade there. But yeah, I think good player.
And then Mark Robb coming back over.
I love Mark Robb.
Well.
Good to see him.
Yeah,
I didn't realize he was available. I think the Patriots did that whole here's your 3 elevations and then we're going to cut you loose kind of thing.
Okay.
Steelers maybe sending Trey Sermon the other way on that train here if they don't add him to the 53. Kind of unfair to keep a guy on your practice squad if you've already used your 3 elevations and you're not going to promote him. Like, where you just stick him in purgatory the rest of the year and say,
so
you got to be on the practice squad, but you can't ever go up. Like, I don't know. That sucks.
How's that work in terms of okay, so they have to let him go, but if they were to bring him back, can they bring him onto the practice squad and that resets or no?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. That's it. That was entered my mind as we were talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that it in terms of, they actually Tomlin did acknowledge MVS. That happened yesterday, but Tomlin didn't acknowledge it last week, even though
he didn't really acknowledge it this week either. He said that's just a practice squad move. I'm not sure any player's ever been more disrespected by Mike Tomlin before they put a Steelers uniform on than MVS. I mean, he really just said it's nothing.
Is he going to ask for his release already?
The guy's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. It's not nothing.
I think if you ask Aaron, it's also not nothing.
He's also probably wide receiver 4 if you made the depth chart fairly right now. I understand he's coming in the middle of the season and is going to have to find a way to work his way through that, but come on.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to start with stuff from Tomlin, or do you want to go straight to what did or didn't happen?
Let's go to the trade
today. Okay, so what did and didn't happen today. So it wasn't necessarily the amount of moves, right, but the magnitude of the moves that were made. I mean, the Jets obviously completely shifting the landscape. And I'll say, not that I thought that they wouldn't be sellers, but the players that they decided to trade off. We're not talking, Breece Hall, whose name had been out there. We're not talking Jermaine Johnson. It's Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams that they traded out of there. So basically deciding
Breece Hall and Jermaine Johnson, which is very strange. It was like they
especially Breece. That makes no sense with the direction you're going.
It's like they decided too late to trade them all and then couldn't get them all traded before the deadline, which is classic Jets. Also, they made good moves. I think they got solid return for those players.
Oh, fantastic value, especially on Sauce.
the Sauce trade to me is highway robbery for the Jets. But like, I don't know. I'm curious to see how they're going to screw this up. Like, I don't like most teams. You'd be like, well, here they are. They're all set. They got their future right in front of them. The Jets, you're like, well, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I did see someone on Twitter. It's like they have just as much draft capital as they had when they drafted all these guys that they're now trading away.
Yeah.
So, it's like
first rounders was the year they drafted Sauce and Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah, and Breece Hall in the second round that year. And now they're trying to trade them all. So, yeah. I mean, that is the number one. Well, the Browns are number one probably, but that's the number two example of, being bad and getting draft picks is not a strategy. It's just failure.
Two wide receivers that we spent quite a bit of time talking about for the Steelers were also out. Jacoby Myers going from the Raiders to the Jaguars, Rashid Shaheed going from the New Orleans Saints to the Seattle Seahawks. You see what the acquisition cost was. And while like I would have been okay if the Steelers did it, like especially the Myers one, I can't sit here and say I'm like super bummed out about them missing out on it either. If it's a deal that they would have done, I would have obviously talked myself into loving it and really like the fit, especially the Myers one. I think that the going rate was maybe higher than what we had hoped as Steelers fans that it was going to be. You can say whatever before we get to the deadline. Hey, they're asking for a third round pick, whatever. Yeah, we'll see what it actually costs when and if a deal gets made. For it to be 2 day threes in the same draft year.
That's what they
I think
got.
it's a big.
That's, I mean, I love how people are like, oh, they'll never get a third round pick. That's ridiculous. And then they're like, why wouldn't the Steelers offer a fourth and a fifth? I'm like, that's the same thing. That's like saying, like, it is absurd for me to give you $5 for this, Smitty, but I will gladly give you these 5 $1 bills.
Mm-hmm.
They add up to the same amount. I mean, that's a day 3 pick for both of those guys. I'm really surprised Shaheed went for more than Myers. I think Myers is the better player by a lot.
I agree, but I think specifically for Seattle with Clint Kubiak, who was with Shaheed in New Orleans,
I
think there's a
why
little bit
they
more to tap
him.
into. Yeah.
But I think Myers is a better player. The prices were high across the board. I did not think there was a good deal made today from a buying standpoint. Trevor Penning might be the only one, just because the Chargers.
What was he even trading for?
Just a desperation black hole at tackle that they probably would have done fine with a
warm body. Yeah,
with a waiver claim. So I didn't see it. It was just like a conditional future pick. I don't even think it was like anything.
Yeah, so he's giving away.
Yeah,
basically
given away. And so, but I mean, I think that's a good move for the Chargers. But other than that, like I didn't think that the acquiring teams got good value for the most part. And I don't think either of these guys, look, I like the fit of both of them, but they are not players that you are, especially not Shaheed, that anyone should be excited about being a wide receiver too. Like, that's not what those guys are. Those are additions that they could have made, but it's not like you're like saying, well, the wide receiver position's wrapped up here for 3 years, and both those guys are pending free agents. But like, even if you could extend them, like, do you really want to commit money to Jacoby Myers for 3 more years as your wide receiver 2, and you're happy with that as your wide receiver situation? Like, I don't know. He's okay. Is he one of the better wide receiver 2s out there? No. Maybe average. Maybe. Like, I mean, those guys would have been upgrades over what they had, but I feel like that draft capital turns out to be pretty steep for just an upgrade that's not a long-term solution. The Steelers are not going to. The other thing is, if you can't sign them, the Steelers are not going into next offseason with the intention of playing the comp pick game again. I think they have salary cap space, and they're going to plan on spending it. And so you're not, like, maybe a different team in a different situation might value those guys more because of that. And we talk here all the time, everybody's all gung-ho to trade the draft picks until they have a name. Yeah. Like Steelers 4th round picks under Omar Khan. Are you trading are you trading Nick Herbig and Mason McCormick for 2 months of Rashid Shaheed? Like that, like, that's a bad deal.
To your point, like I would have really liked Jacoby Myers. But with the assumption that, especially if you're giving this up, that he would have been extended, and then like what's the domino effect of that? Okay, Calvin Austin potentially not back at that point.
Yeah, you're going to sign both of those guys,
role, and then
probably
and
not.
then probably have to draft somebody else in the middle rounds again anyway, or something like that. So I don't know. I get it for sure. But I do have to say, like, I'm disappointed, not that they didn't make a deal with what the going rate was, but I'm disappointed that there wasn't a deal that I felt like was there to be made. You know what I mean? Like I would have liked for them to acquire somebody to add them to this team, just because we've talked about like how unique of an opportunity it is for them right now to really take this division.
Oh, they needed help. I mean, there's no question they wanted to make a trade. They needed help.
Yeah.
I just don't think there was a move out there that made
Which is why I'm saying I'm disappointed by that. I'm disappointed by the fact there wasn't a deal to be made, not necessarily that they didn't make a bad deal. If they would have, with the benefit of hindsight now that we have, if they would have done at this deadline the same thing as they did last year, I would be pissed about giving up a fifth round pick for a Mike Williams type player. And
I think last year's deadline was bad, like in hindsight, right? Like, I mean, I don't remember what we said about it at the time. I liked the fit of Mike Williams, but they never found a way to use him. I like the fit of Preston Smith, but he ended up not being impactful. I think if you're looking for just depth, like, okay, what's the difference between over the next 3 months, 2 months, whatever, 2 months, really? What's the difference between Rashid Shaheed or Jacoby Myers and MVS over the next 2 months? And how much is that worth to you compared to like multiple decent draft picks or one really good draft pick? Like, because I mean, to beat that offer, to beat a fourth and a fifth, you basically have to trade a third.
Oh yeah, to beat it, no. Yeah, that's what I came in today thinking they were going to end up with somebody for probably like a fifth round pick. Like that was honestly what I felt like was going to happen.
I think they would have made those deals for a fifth.
Yeah.
Maybe even just a fourth, maybe, but I doubt it. That's where I felt like their sweet spot was. And if there was a player that they thought could be a long-term solution, I think they would have gone higher than that. I think they would have traded one of those thirds if it was a guy who was going to replace George Pickens, where they got that third. Like if it was that kind of offer, I think they would have done that. But the Dolphins were holding firm on a first for Jalen Waddle. Like that move just wasn't out there to be made. I think they would have made it. But now they're going to have to find it in the draft or make that trade in the offseason.
And I don't think they themselves had much interest in a couple players that were maybe available to them. Calvin Ridley, I think could have been had for even less than what we're talking about, but they didn't have as much interest in him as the other two guys that did go. And I think even like somebody texted me during the day, said, watch out for Deebo Samuel. Think that one might have some legs. I just don't know that they were interested in that one, at least for what, they were, again, where they were willing to meet the other team with meeting their price. You know what I mean? So like, I don't think we talked about a fifth for Myers or fifth for Shaheed. I don't think that was on the table for the other two players that I just brought up.
Yeah. I don't think, I don't think they were real. They made it very clear the entire offseason that they really valued their draft picks, that they wanted to have those picks available to them because they want to trade up for a quarterback. And they know that's going to take multiple picks. I mean, they have a first, a second, and 3/3. Like that trading up for that quarterback could take all of that. And then you're looking at trying to fill out the rest of a draft class with nothing but day 3 picks. And so you're not going to hit on very many of those. So if you need 2 or 3 more guys from this draft class, you got to figure you're going to draft 5 or 6 of them, right? Like, I mean, that's the way that's going to go. If you're substituting your second with a fourth and a fifth and 2 sixths, like you probably need to use all those picks just to figure you're going to get the same kind of value you would have got with 1 second. So, if you're they're like on one hand, they are going to trade up for a quarterback, or at least they intend to, but it's not like they're one player away. Like they want to draft other stuff too. Gosh, they need corners. They need wide receivers.
Well, let me throw something your way then. I think that a lot of people feel like they would make up for what they didn't do today by bringing in Asante Samuel Jr. and getting a look at him.
Yeah, I think that could be on the table. They definitely liked him coming out of Florida State. I think that's a possibility. I was told on Twitter by someone today that the Steelers team doctor did his surgery. I haven't verified that. But
I believe that's. I mean, I've seen that a couple different places, so I believe that's true.
So yeah, I mean, they should know whether he's healthy or not. In fact, I mean, they could maybe even do it quietly if they just say, "Oh, this is just a checkup." Doc wants to come in and see how the surgery's doing. That they can do that without that's some blurring of the lines there. We won't.
Which is interesting because you obviously have to be willing to adjust once your team kind of shows you who they are. But imagine before the season with what their secondary looked like, saying that would be the addition that they needed to make to the team when we get to the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Obviously, the season-ending injury to Elliott doesn't help that, but I mean, their corners haven't all played as well as they thought. We should get to anything else because I want to talk about Jalen Ramsey. And that's sort of a natural transition point. But is there anything else about the deadline you want to talk about? Before we get to Ramsey, I just want to kind of the big thing that I keep seeing on social media that it still frustrates you so much is that apparently people were still under the impression or thought that this team was somehow all in on this season, and that not making a trade at the deadline is dumb because of that. And we've talked about it so much, but it's just so obvious that they were not only not all in, not even particularly close to that with the way they hoarded draft picks and comp picks and future value. And even the guys they signed were very clearly targeted. The reason that Slay and Rodgers are here is that they were cut by their other team and that they could come here without why is that something? I can't understand why that was something that was so hard for so many people to see.
Yeah, well, okay, so sticking to just the wide receiver aspect, because again, that's been the main talking point for 2 seasons now, and people expecting that move to happen and it not happening. So then that's why people are so frustrated and saying, "Oh, I thought we were all in" or whatever. I just think it's because not that it's been us doing it, but when you look at a national media perspective, anytime that a wide receiver's talked about, people are linking them to Pittsburgh, even knowing even in the case of Jalen Waddle, right? That Pittsburgh wasn't going to pay the price that it was likely going to take to land that player. AJ Brown, were they ever going to pay a price that
were the Eagles ever going to consider trading him?
Yeah. I mean, if Garrett Wilson was going to be on the table in a Jets fire sale, would they have paid that price? So I feel at some point we knew that the Steelers were not going to give up day one or probably even day 2 capital. So what's the point of even talking about those big fish being acquired by the team?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really hear.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why other people did.
Yeah. That's what I'm just saying from a fan base perspective. If you see every single time a wide receiver is brought up, the Schefters, Raps, Diana Rossini's of the world linking the Steelers to them, you might have it in your head. This team is willing to part with, high-end capital.
And look, I think they at least checked in on Waddle, but they saw what the price was and said, okay, never mind. They're not doing their job if they don't. That's one of those things is all the reports are oh, Steelers called about this guy. Of course they did. They probably called about 200 to 300 people.
Yeah, we were just having that conversation in text yesterday.
They're checking. That doesn't mean anything. All that means is they're just I'm sure that Omar Khan called, I don't know, pick a GM and had a okay, well, hey, here's 8 guys that we might be interested in. Would you trade any of them? No? Okay. Oh, you would trade this one? How much? Oh, never mind. All right, that's a little steep. All right, well, see you around. I mean, that probably happened 100 to 150 times over the last couple weeks. The list of players that Omar Khan has not talked about is probably shorter than the list that he has. They have these conversations all the time, and not just leading up to the trade deadline either. Some of them you've known back from the offseason. You're still on a second for that guy? Okay, yeah, just checking. That happens constantly.
Yeah, I know that they won last night against the Cowboys. I'm not sure how much, if at all, that changed whatever direction they would have had the trade deadline. And now Jacoby Brissett going to start for the foreseeable future for the Cardinals. But when I put that out there about Marvin Harrison Jr., and I was thinking his dad had just made those think about how many teams probably called the Cardinals once it got put out there about Marvin Harrison Sr.'s comments about the offense. Everyone was probably oh, let's get on the phone real quick and see. I mean, that's just how this works. Like you said, you're not doing your job if you don't at least check in.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
they did that, but yeah, I mean, it would be different if there were players that I thought made sense for them long term or
mhm.
cheaply that were traded, and neither of those things happened.
Yeah, I think I'd feel a lot worse about it if Jacoby would have been just one of those 2 picks that the Jaguars gave them.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, I think they wanted him. There was a report that Schefter reported that they wanted him. That was legitimate. I mean, they for sure.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. You mentioned that you wanted to talk about the Ramsey specific aspect of that within the safety stuff, but really that came from Tomlin Tuesday, which kind of flew under the radar, I feel like, with it taking place on the same day as the trade deadline. But we can get into some Tomlin Tuesday stuff, starting with Jalen Ramsey sticking at safety.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it. I really liked the way it played out. I mean, of all of the permutations of the way their secondary has looked, I think this is the first time all season, except for Deshaun Elliott when he was healthy, that you said, okay, that guy, if he stays there, that's good. Like everyone else has had question. Even Ramsey has had question marks at other places, right? Like he wasn't great when he was outside against the Bengals and tasked to go one-on-one with Jamar Chase. Like he got beat. This is the first time all year where you're like, huh, that guy stayed there all game and it was perfect. Let's just leave him there. And clearly Mike Tomlin saw the same thing we were seeing. Didn't say he's going to stay there all season, but I mean, I think that looked like a real good tandem with him and Kyle Duggar.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, at least for, let's see it a second week and see what it looks like. But I think it certainly makes sense for the short term. Now, could they get some more people back into the mix that maybe change that depending on how they look? Obviously, you didn't have Jabril Peppers last week. Could having him back and trying to find a role for him potentially change some things that they want to do on the back end of things. I don't know if that was just like a 1 week thing with Juan Thornhill not playing at all defensively, but we talked about, a lot of people were throwing Darius Slay under the bus for the performance against the Packers. Juan Thornhill also didn't have some great moments in terms of the effort, but also just bad play. So I don't know
more
if that
lost
was
than anything. I felt like.
And then Chuck Clark, who was dealing with an illness last week, we'll see if he can get back this week and if that would change anything for them on the back end. But when it goes the way that it did after 1 week and so far so good against that offense too, I don't know why you would, feel the need to change anything. Again, we brought up Asante Samuel Jr. If you were to bring him into the fold, how could he impact things that you want to do? But at least when you look at the personnel that they have in the building right now, what's at their disposal, I don't see a reason to go away from what we saw.
Yeah, I was really impressed, and I thought that Eccles played well and has played well enough that
I thought James Pierre had some really nice reps going back and watching as well.
Yeah, agreed. I think Eccles looked like he belonged. I'm not saying he was perfect. He gave up some big plays. He has given up some big plays, but he looks like he can play, and so I think that makes the move a little bit easier to swallow.
Was I guess it could be hard to say because you don't know specifically the Josh Downs touchdown late. Who would you have put that one more on if you had to say?
Oh, that was Eccles for sure.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. We'll
he
see.
just slipped or something, didn't he? I didn't think it was I didn't think it was bad cover. I didn't think it was bad.
Maybe it was kind of like a pick play though too. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, exactly. I thought he just kind of lost his balance coming out of the mesh or whatever you want to call it, and that was kind of I didn't think that was a busted coverage or something. I just thought it was stuff happens.
Okay, so far so good with the safety stuff, and we'll see if that continues for Jalen Ramsey. Anything else that came from Tomlin that actually aged and can still be, because obviously he talked about the looming trade deadline, but pointless to bring up his thoughts about still shopping now. I know he started to touch on the Chargers matchup obviously in this one, but was there anything that stuck out to you besides the Jalen Ramsey stuff that he talked about?
Talked a good bit about the Chargers. I kind of want to wait and save some of that for when we get more into the matchup later in the week. So I'll kind of hold off on some of that.
I will say that him bringing up the 2 guys that have really emerged within that offense over the last few weeks, Kamani Vidal and Aronde Gadsden, I am very curious as to see what the plan of attack, because that's not especially Gadsden is not a player that at the beginning of the year looking at this matchup, you would have been like, yeah, that's a guy to circle and be curious as to how you're going to game plan for. But now with what he's done over like their last 3 games, he's somebody that could have a Tucker Kraft like game against the Steelers if you're not careful.
I got him on waivers in my like super sicko fantasy football league where like guys that have like 8 points on the season are usually all that's available. Like that's how under the radar he was at the beginning of this year. And also
played college ball at Syracuse, so like how many people even knew he existed?
I did. Well, also Asante Gadsden, son of Steelers legend. I use that term rather incorrectly. Asante Gadsden, who spent 1 off season with the Steelers in, I want to say it was 96 or 97, never played a game for the team. And then eventually, like a couple of years later, it wasn't even like the following year, it was like a couple of years later, caught on with the Miami Dolphins and turned into like a player. But the Steelers had him first and let him go.
The one that got away. Did he have a number assigned to him? That could be awesome.
I'm sure that I want to say 86. I could be wrong about that, but just like going off the memory of 7-year-old me, that's what comes to mind.
Okay.
So that would obviously track. The young Asante is also 86. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so moving on from Tomlin stuff, then I know that we got some questions to us. The one actually was from yesterday that we weren't able to get to, so we can get to this right now. LGO63 said, assuming the Steelers make the playoff, which this week's win makes you feel like puts them on a better path, knowing that we beat the leader of the AFC East and the leader of the AFC South. We don't play the leader of the AFC West right now, which I feel like is probably going to end up being the Broncos. Hey, with the Chiefs losing their last game, that's not a bad shout. Which is, should we feel better about, as Steelers Nation, that they could win a playoff game, especially if they end up being the host? But even if they are a wild card, assuming 2 through 6 seed, love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I am not the kind of person that changes what I think about the team very often. Like,
yep. I feel like if people have listened to this show more than, 5 times, they know that. Maybe even more than once.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna hold on to my priors until they're pretty much dead. So I don't think, I mean, I've always thought they can win a playoff game. I think they probably got to get a home game to do it. I don't feel good about them going to Baltimore, Kansas City, or Buffalo in January and winning. But I think they're a playoff team, and I think they can win a playoff game.
So here's what I'll say is, in sticking with that thought about leaning on your priors, I guess there obviously still enough time for these divisions to shuffle and Kansas City and Buffalo to be back into those division leads, and even in Baltimore in this case. I think the thing that I still feel like the Steelers right now are better suited than the Steelers of the past few years to win a playoff game. The thing about it, though, is you look at the wild card teams, and that could be as strong of a group as we've seen just because of the way that those teams started, right? So, like, if the wild card is end up being Buffalo, Kansas City, and Baltimore, which team are you hoping comes to Pittsburgh in the play? Just Baltimore, I guess, because of familiarity. I mean, like, so I just feel like, while I think the Steelers themselves are better suited to win a playoff game than they have been in the last few years, I just feel like this wild card group right now for 2025, 2026, as we sit here, is uniquely strong compared to the past few years as well.
Yeah, it looks that way right now. I don't know that I'm willing to assume.
Yeah, Buffalo could jump New England. Kansas City could end up being the division winner there. Certainly. Yeah.
Like I think Buffalo will pass New England. Kansas City has a little bit longer way to go. I have a hard time seeing them get. Not saying it's impossible, but they a long way to go to pass Denver at this point. But like right now, Kansas City's not in the playoffs.
Have they played even one time though yet, or do they still play them twice? Because I think,
I think they still play twice. Yeah, so like it's really not that hard. I think the Broncos are probably the team in the league whose record does not match their performance the most. Like that's not a 7-2 team. Like it's just not.
And honestly, of that field goal stuff with Indy away from being 8-1.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Yeah.
But like you think about it, Indy is also 7-2. Indy's
Mhm.
plus 109 in scoring differential, and Denver's plus 59.
Mhm.
So like Indy's, they're both those teams are 7-2. Indy's been almost twice as good.
Yeah.
Like that's, yeah. I mean, and I don't think Indy's that great. I think they made a big mistake with that trade today, pushing all their chips in on this team. I understand the AFC looks weak this year. I don't know what about Daniel Jones' performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers made them think that is the time to push their chips in on that guy and this team. Like he looked very beatable. Like I don't know.
Never.
Again, not letting go of your priors. Daniel Jones has had how long in the NFL, and he's looked like absolute trash for like dang near all of them. He plays 8 good games, and now you're assuming that's the guy you're getting forward and not the one that came before. Like I don't know.
I want it. Okay, so it didn't happen with San Fran because they ended up paying Purdy. I want Indy to be the new team that we're trying to talk into adopting our money ball at the QB position. So absolutely do not pay Daniel Jones this offseason.
Well, now they're sort of going to have to, unless they're going to pay Daniel Jones. Yeah, I mean, they don't. They just traded their next 2 first-round picks.
They did. Yeah, but like a Mac Jones will be less
quarterback next year. Is it Mac Jones? Maybe. I feel like Mac Jones is going to get the like Sam Darnold money at this point, right?
Let's just have some weird like QB domino effect. Kyler goes to Miami, Tua gets cut. He goes with Steichen or something.
The Jets
maybe the Raiders move off Geno.
The Jets are going to use all those first round picks to trade for Kyler. That's how they'll screw it up. Actually, that could happen. Tua is actually a good Shane Steichen. If the Dolphins cut Tua, that's a good place for him to land.
Yeah, I feel like Indy's. I mean, if I'm a quarterback right now, that's where I'm trying to get to. Like they're Minnesota. I mean, you know the trees.
LA, San Fran, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm trying to get to right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think to get back to the question, I don't really change how I feel about a team very often. Not until I'm made to, pretty much.
Yeah. I just offering a different perspective. I just think as we sit here right now, again, a lot could change. I feel better about the Steelers in a vacuum, but let's see what the landscape looks like when we head into the playoffs, when and if the Steelers do come out of that as the AFC North winner, and who would be coming here as a wild card. Because I just feel like it could be uniquely strong compared to most years as wild card.
I agree with that. And I think the one nightmare scenario that we haven't talked about is that the Bengals find a way to stay in it, and then Joe Burrow comes back.
What if they decide, hey, Flacco's played so well? What if Burrow gets the Kyler Murray treatment, and Joe Flacco's the Jacoby Brissett? That's not going to happen. Obviously, I'm just being an idiot and saying the Bengals got to keep Burrow out of the picture regardless, just Flacco, the way he's playing. All right. We're already at 33 minutes, Alan. So anything else that we can say now, we could save for tomorrow. I know we got a couple more questions to get to as well that are not time sensitive.
I want to get to the last thing I sent you, our little note from our newest subscriber here, currently in the shout out.
That's from him? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's see what we got here. All right. So this is from Ed. That's the one you're talking about? Yeah. Gentlemen, quick note of thanks that has long been on my to-do list. Today, I finally stepped up to the plate and joined SN Plus. True to Alan's word, it is in fact much better than the free version. Looking forward to the next live stream. Came across y'all a couple seasons ago after having our first son. Afternoon drive and morning rush quickly became an integral part of those late night sessions. Today, both shows still firmly entrenched in my daily life. Rarely miss a show. Can honestly say that they've made me a better fan, increased my knowledge about football, and I enjoy watching the black and gold more than ever. Appreciate your unique angle, all your hard work, and the incredible coverage of the black and gold. Keep up what you're doing. Here we go, Ed. That's awesome. It's crazy to think about how many like life events people have had over the course of this podcast that they tell us about. And I'm always just in awe. Like, how many people have left us comments or sent emails, DMs, or whatever, talking about, hey, I had a kid from when you guys first started this, and I would listen or watch you guys when I was up late with them, like Ed is just saying here. And now they're 2 or 3 years old, whatever it might be, because of how long we've been doing this podcast. Like, those are the ones that, to me, along with when we get the comments from where the different parts of the different countries that people are living in, that always just like, I don't know. I get the most joy from reading. It just puts a smile on my face when I read comments like that.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best parts about what we do. And I love to hear the comments about people saying that like they feel like we've made them smarter and better fans. Like I think that's like the whole purpose of everything I do is to try to explain to people on a slightly deeper level what's happening. And I think there is a feeling among people in my profession, not people that are doing it usually, more like their bosses, that like that doesn't sell anymore, that's not like sexy enough to get an audience, that you have to have like ridiculous takes or make people angry or like pull stunts to have an audience. And I think that makes me the most proud that all we do is come on here, have a good time, and talk about football and try to share some knowledge and some love and some fun, and that people have people like it, that people come here and find it, and that there's nothing ridiculous or fake about it. It's just ball and knowledge and real life.
Yeah, I mean, that just speaks to the genuineness. If you follow us on social media, which if you're watching, listening to this, I'm sure you do, you can tell it's the exact same as what you're getting on there. You don't have to worry about us playing characters, trying to be something or people that we are not. So yeah, really appreciate that. And I appreciate that shines through. There's so many comments that have been similar to Ed's, but being that he just subscribed to SN Plus, he's on the ticker right now. Definitely worth giving a shout out. That was very nice. So appreciate you, Ed. All right, Alan. Well, if there's nothing else to say on this particular episode, you know what? Maybe we'll do another one of these tomorrow. But until then, tell the people they can find you.
Saunders_PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now sites account. SteelersNow.com. Do what Ed did. Sign up for SN Plus. It is that much better without the ads. Ed is not. I did not pay him to say that. He is being genuine. It is that much better. Every once in a while, I'm not logged in. I'm like, oh, get me out of here. And
you know what? And he didn't even get a dose of notes from the road yet. So
he
like,
didn't get
he's
notes from
got
the road yet, which is
something more
coming up
coming.
this week.
Yeah.
He also didn't get an SM Plus live stream. He was just doing his thing, getting his. I took a part of Monday off and got some of those to-do list things checked. Sometimes you just got to get the things on the to-do list checked. And of course, anyone can like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications here. That's free. There's really no excuse for putting that on the to-do list. You are right. You just move the mouse over a little bit, click the button. 16,943, I think, is going to be pretty difficult.
Oh, it went up.
Game.
Dang it. I had one in my head, but it went up to 43. All right. Yeah, that takes mine away.
I got to think of one.
I could possibly come up with.
It's going to be difficult. Yeah, I got to go way back. Steve Avery was a running back in the 1990s. I feel good about that one.
Okay.
He's a bit of a special teamer, if I remember right.
Yeah, I don't know. So I will say,
the reason Steve Avery is memorable to me, not for anything that he ever did during his Steelers career, because if he played, like, he was on the team for a couple of seasons, but like, he didn't play much. Mostly special teams. Wasn't like in the game. But Steve Avery was on the Steelers right after, or maybe in about the same time frame in the early 90s, when the Pirates were going up against the Braves in the playoffs.
Yeah, okay.
And Steve Avery was one of the Braves' top pitchers, and he had the same name. And so just when I was like, I don't like this guy. Get him off the team. Not because he's like, I mean, he wasn't good, but like, that wasn't why. It was because I didn't even want a Steve Avery anywhere in Pittsburgh. That's how much the Braves irked me.
Yeah, no, makes sense. 100% get it. I will say, so I thought we were going to be on 42. I had the answer in my head. I feel like everybody has like one bad jersey purchase, at least, in their tenure as a fan. I had a Morgan Burnett jersey. Yeah. In 2018. I don't know. I loved him as a Packer. I was super excited about that edition for some reason.
Wow.
So, yeah. And you know what I did? You know what I did with it? It might be even funnier because my last name is Smith, and very briefly, the Steelers had a 42 wearing Smith. Sutton Smith was wearing 42.
Sutton. Oh, yeah, he never even made it to the regular season. That's one of the worst draft picks in team's history.
Yeah, so that jersey, maybe I throw maybe I nameplate it again and get James Pierre on the back of there. I don't know, but not that 42 is a great number either. But yeah, Morgan Burnett. I had a Morgan Burnett jersey.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm excited to hear.
You didn't have to tell us that story, and you chose to anyway. You could have kept
an open book.
We got to 43. You could have just kept that. Be like, off the hook here. I don't have to let them know that I did that, and yet you did.
I could have, but as everybody in my life I feel like knows, I'm a pretty open book about literally everything and anything. So there you go. I overshare even when it comes to terrible purchases that I've made in the past.
There you go.
All right. So again, like Alan said, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And if you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, we are also there. Just search Steelers Afternoon Drive. While you're there, leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. All your listening platforms, not just Apple and Google and stuff like that, Spotify. Do the same thing on TikTok, and then you'll find me everywhere, Zachary Smith, PGH, for Alan Saunders, and myself. Thanks for jumping in, taking another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.